Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast for this week. This week, we are talking to a really good girlfriend of mine, the amazing Arielle Ford. How are you, darling?
I am so happy to be with you, even if it's just virtually. It's just
I
nice
know.
to be in your energy field.
Well, today we're talking about your latest book. Arielle's actually the author of 12 books. This is number 12. And this is a little departed from what you normally do because this is a novel. And I know you've been working on this for a while now. And the name of the book is called The Love Thief. How to find love and to keep love. Now you are a bit of a love expert when it comes to helping women prepare themselves for a relationship and kind of get out of their own way. And I've definitely done some work with you in the past, which helped me to find my love, which was amazing. So why don't we just start with like why a novel? Like why
Right?
this kind of a format?
Exactly. Why? Why? Well, writing a novel was never on my to-do list ever. Never in my entire life did I have the thought I should write a novel. And 5 years ago, this story started to unfold in my head like a movie. And it wouldn't go away. It was stalking me. And it was very annoying. I was like, stop that, go away. I don't know how to write fiction. I don't want to write fiction. And it wouldn't go away. And as the movie revealed itself in my head, I could see that it takes place mostly in Rishikesh, India, a place I've been to a few times that I really love. And, it was so persistent that I finally said to God one day, it was kind of like, all right, here's the deal. If I'm really supposed to write this book, then I'm going to manifest a $7,000 business class ticket to India. And then I thought, well, that's never going to happen. I'm off the hook. 48 hours later, I had the ticket in my hand. And then off I went to India. And every scene I had been seeing in my head, in this movie in my head, I began to trip over while I was in India. It was the most magical, mystical, woo-woo, crazy experience I've pretty much ever had. And so then I came home and started writing. And it took me 4.5 full years to write it because I didn't know how to write fiction. So I had to write and rewrite and get book doctors and rewrite and edit. And I had a million early readers, you, thank God, being one of them, that were so supportive and loving and gentle in their criticism and feedback. So it's done now. And it's a romantic spiritual thriller. It's about a woman who gets her heart broken and her dreams crushed until karma intervenes. And it has a really excellent revenge subplot and a juicy, happy surprise ending. So I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I can't imagine ever doing it again, but I really felt like it was my destiny to take this movie and put it on the page.
Yeah. Well, I have read the book and it's such an adventure and it's so rich, and when we think about transformation or thinking about, putting like, messages into a book, we often think how to, but I think what people remember most are the stories. You think about the Celestine Prophecy or the Way of the Peace Warrior. When I wrote my book, my publisher also said you should write fiction. I'm like, I don't know how to write fiction. You got to be kidding me! Like, I don't even read fiction. And I remember doing an interview with a guy that did a documentary called Finding Joe, which is about Joseph Campbell. Now, I'd never even heard of Joseph Campbell before. I'm like, who's this guy? And then we're talking about the arc of writing a story, the hero's journey. And I'm like, oh, maybe my book should do that as well. So once I had that, it only took me 2 weeks to write the book, because it kind of just poured out because I kind of knew that arc. So, I mean, what are some of the messages or the lessons that you're hoping readers will experience, as they're reading this amazing adventure of a book?
Well, I wasn't planning to have messages in the book, but as the early readers' information came back, one of the most astonishing things I learned was that pretty much every woman out there has been betrayed, has
Mm,
experienced the depth of the anger and the rage and the disbelief and the sadness and the depression and this, roller coaster of just like, how did this happen to me? And the shame that comes with it. Like, why, how did I not see this? So, I think the book really provides a couple of things: acknowledgement for what you've been through, the healing process for how to get past it, and the fact that you're not alone. And the biggest one is that out of the deepest, darkest days of your life comes the best possible part of your life.
mm,
And that in retrospect, when at least I'm 70 now, when I look back on the most difficult times of my life, I wouldn't change a thing now. At the time, I would have done anything to get out of them. But now when I see the evolution of who I became out of that darkness, I see the gift in it. So it's ultimately a very positive and optimistic story. My heroine is very funny. She's very snarky, and she's not a seeker. She is the daughter of a new age baby boomer, and she's a reaction to that. She doesn't believe in meditation or yoga or has any interest in past lives or any of that stuff. That's her mother's gig. And yet, after she experiences this horrible set of traumas, she ends up in cooking school in Rishikesh, India, and things begin to happen,
mm.
miracles and mystical and magical experiences, and her life changes and ultimately improves.
Yeah. I know. I love the part that, because even I am reading it, I'm like, yeah, I've been through that. And I think we, as women, we have this whole range of emotions that we go through. And like you're saying, shame is one of them. Like, why did I not see this? Like, I'm smart. Like, like why could, and the whole not wanting to, admit to other people. Like you kind of try and internalize it and keep it to yourself rather than, being able to share it with other women. So I love the validation a part of the story. You're like, you're not alone, and we all go through that. But that thread of, realizing what our lessons are. We may not see them in the moment, but knowing that there's a lesson or an experience or an evolution that we go through with each of these
Yeah.
situations that help us to get through that. Yeah.
I think one of the other great messages of the book is that it really, through the back door, shares what love really is.
Mm,
Because we were all brought up with the Disney version of love. Someday my prince will come on a white horse and we will live happily ever after. Yeah, right. Because we are brought up to believe that love is a feeling. How do I know I love you? Oh, my brain's on drugs. I'm on oxytocin and dopamine, and you're a stranger and I just met you, but I love you and you're my soulmate and we're going to be together forever. And then you end up with a toxic narcissist and you discover that you're just an addict. You're an addict for the romance they brought to you because they're charming and charismatic, and they know how to whisper in the ears of smart, successful women to tell them everything they've been waiting for, everything they wanted to hear. And then they break your heart and they steal your money.
mm,
And you don't want to go around telling, well, yeah, I was dating this guy and it was so great in the beginning and everything was so wonderful. And I thought this was it until he ripped me off for $300,000 and I'm never going to get my money back. I can't say this publicly, but you and I know three best-selling women authors who are household names that this has happened to.
yeah.
And they're never going to go public because, of course, they're ashamed. Look how smart I am. I have a PhD from Stanford, and yet this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
So revenge was an important part of this book for me. My character was getting back for all the women who aren't getting that money back. They're going to get satisfied. They're going to see that there is justice in the universe, and it's called karma.
Yeah. And you're right. I know when I was dating, like you'd meet someone, you're like, oh, and you're all you're doing is looking for all the good and the potential, and then you're opening up to your feelings, and this is amazing. Like you said, you're getting flooded with oxytocin. You're like, this is awesome. And then, but that's not real. That's not love. So if that isn't love, then what is love?
Right, right. And I became a student of love so I could answer that question for myself. And what I have learned, that love is a behavior, and love is a choice, and it's a decision, and it's an action, and it's a way of being. And while there are good feelings that come and go with love, love is ultimately not a feeling. Because as anybody who's been with their soulmate life partner in a committed relationship knows, there will be days when you don't like your partner and you may even hate them. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them.
Right.
So understanding what real mature adult love is having to get over the fantasy of the romance, of the feeling, and I've got butterflies in my stomach and I've been swept away, which now in retrospect, are the red flags,
Right. Exactly.
right? Like that's, you don't want to run, but that's your body telling you, get the hell out of here. You're about to be love bombed. I don't know if you're familiar with that phrase, love bombed,
Mm.
but that's exactly what happens to Holly in this book. She gets love bombed. She's 37 and a half. She's been waiting her whole life for the white picket fence. Her eggs are dying off at an incredible rate. And all she can think about is, where's my guy? And I've got to have this baby. And then it happens. And it happens at a beautiful estate in Rancho Santa Fe, underneath fireworks in the night sky. And it's everything she ever wanted until it wasn't,
Mm.
right? She fell hook, line, and sinker. So that's what happened. That's where I've been for the last 5 years. That's why you haven't seen much of me. I have been tied to a keyboard.
I actually have heard of love bombing. That was one of the storylines in Ted Lasso, in this last series of Ted Lasso. Yeah, the one of the characters was getting love bombed by, her new.
Good. I'm glad that's getting out there because women need to know that this is a real thing. It's not just a cute phase. There are men, they're known as toxic narcissists, who they target smart, successful women because they know they're so busy focused on their career that they're missing having love and romance. And
Mm.
they know how to get it. So the relationship moves like lightning speed. They meet you, and within a half hour, I think I've been looking for you my whole life. We're going to have the most beautiful children and the most incredible life together. Where have you been? How is it that somebody as amazing as you is still single? I hope I'm up to par for you. I think I'm in love. And this is all happening instantly. And of course, there's a part of you that's thinking, this is too good to be true. And yet, the hormones are cascading off your brain into your pelvis, and it's like more, more, more. And you're a
Yeah.
junkie. You're suddenly
Yeah.
a love junkie.
Man, and I can speak from personal experience. When I first started dating, the first time I went online, which was years ago, I got catfished. Now I didn't part over any money because as soon as that came up, I was like, oh, wait a minute, But that's exactly what happened. Within a few, communications back and forth, this person was in love. We were speaking on the phone every day, and I'm just like, this is crazy. And then when I was telling friends, they're like, that doesn't sound right. And then when I did some investigation, I realized he wasn't who he was. But I think we can all get drawn into that if we're not aware of the signs. And like you're saying, if it's like all this, like everything's happening super fast, that's a really big, flag to go, okay, I need to
Right.
step back a little bit,
And I don't know if you remember, but the first line of the book is, my mother was right.
Hmm.
And so you will have people in your life who are going to try to tell you, no, something's not right here. But the feelings are so good, and you so desperately want this to be real that
Yep.
you choose not to listen. And of course, down the line, you go, oh, why didn't I listen to my best friend? She tried to tell me, I didn't even want to talk to her for months because I didn't want to hear it,
Hmm.
until suddenly one day you wake up and you go, oh my God, what have I done? And it's really important not to beat yourself up over it. These guys are master pros at what they do.
Yeah.
You know, they're kind of the AI of love, right? They know exactly what words to come up with that are going to get you hooked. And even when you confront them about maybe some lie they told or something they misrepresented, chances are they'll admit it. they'll say, yes, I really did exaggerate. And the reason I did it is because so and so. But when I'm with you, I don't want to be that man. I want to be a better man. You deserve to have, and
Yeah.
then they're just saying all the things that lure you back in. So that's where the shame part comes in. It's like, oh, I should have known. You know what? You couldn't have known,
No.
right? You got targeted.
Yep.
So the one thing to take away is, if you got targeted by a toxic narcissist, it also means you're very special because they don't go after ordinary girls,
Right.
right?
Well, and I think, look, if I'm really brutally honest, when my marriage ended, and even though Glenn and I are still good mates and we're still business partners, the whole thing, he met somebody else. And so there's that part of me that goes, am I still beautiful? Am I still lovable? Am I still, attractive, because of that situation? And I think a lot of women who step out of marriages or their marriage ends are maybe going through the same thing. And then this person comes along with all the right words and all the right things you like. So you understand why you can, be taken in by that. And they are really good at what they do.
Charming, charismatic,
Yeah.
super articulate, they should all be defense attorneys, they can dance with words like nothing you've ever seen. Yeah, and it's very unfortunate, but like I said to you earlier, every woman I know has been through this at least once, if not more.
Yeah.
It's like a rite of passage. And this is also why it's important to remember when you're dating that you are always in control, that
Yeah.
you can slow the process down, that you don't want to move things along too fast, because it takes at least a year to really get to know somebody before you decide to throw all in with them. You want to meet all their friends and their family, and you want to make sure your friends and family meet them. And is it somebody you feel emotionally and physically safe with? Do
Mm.
they do what they say they're going to do? Do they show up consistently the same way all the time?
Yeah.
Or are you being gaslit? Are they trying to make you feel like you're confused and crazy? Who needs that anymore? I mean, the great thing about living in 2023 is that women no longer need a man or a partner. If we get a man or partner, whatever they are, whatever they choose to present as, that's icing on the cake to our already great lives.
Yeah.
Because we now know the only person in charge of making us happy is us.
Yeah.
Right? And so we want the icing on the cake, but we don't have to have the icing on the cake.
Yeah. I know. Well, I met my partner Bert during COVID, and I'd had a good 8 years of like complete freedom to do whatever I wanted, and had this amazing, beautiful life, and it was full. And I remember like maybe the first 2 years, I would say, there were moments where I'm like, this is too hard. I can't, like I can't do this. But we were able to work through it because we both had the ability to own up to our own stuff that was coming up and be able to look at that and work on it. But now it's like the perfect relationship for what I want at this time of my life. I'm so happy and he's happy. We're happy individually, we're happy apart, but we're also happy together. And so, I think that's probably what sets up a really strong foundation for a beautiful, meaningful, amazing relationship. It's not always going to be, amazing roses and whatever, but there are going to be moments where it's going to be tough. But it's I think the strength of a couple is how they handle the tough times, how they are when there's an argument or whatever, and how they were able to navigate that kind of shows the strength of what a relationship can be.
Totally. I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So, we've got your book coming out. So where can people, Amazon is where people can purchase the
Well,
book?
the best thing to do is go to thelovethief.com,
Mm.
because if you order the book from thelovethief.com, there's an amazing bonus I created. It's a series of heart healing yoga poses from 8 of the top yoga teachers in the world, people like Sean Korn, and each one of the teachers takes on a difficult emotion. So you learn how to get past, anger, heartbreak, grief, betrayal, uncertainty, getting back into your divine connection, forgiveness. So each one of them took one of those things, and they give the yoga philosophy and the yoga poses for healing your heart. And I have to say, I thought that I created this bonus for the readers, but the truth is I created it for me because I'm using it every day. It's really great. And I don't generally do yoga, but yogic philosophy and having one or two poses when you're feeling in the depths of grief is so helpful. So I would just send everybody to thelovethief.com, and you can order it there, and you can instantly download the bonus video series.
That's awesome. Yeah. So thelovethief.com, you want to make sure you go there. So I know that when I wrote my book, even though it was fiction, there was a lot of my own personal experience in there. And you have a beautiful love relationship. You and Brian have been together how long now? It's
our 25th anniversary next week.
Yeah. Wow. And you are an example like of beautiful love. So how much of your personal, life and experience did you weave into the book?
Well, the hero of the book, who's a man named Deepak, who is a retired professor of psychology and the owner of a spiritual bookstore, his personality is based on Brian.
Right.
I wanted Brian's love and compassion and empathy and ability to listen, deep listen. So all of this came about. Actually, the book first started because Brian walked into my office one morning and he said, "I think you should write a book about me." And I said, "Well, what kind of book?" He said, "I married an alien." And I and I said, "I would never write that book. That's crazy. Go away." But after he left, I started thinking, well, if I were going to write a book about Brian, what would it be? And I realized I'd write something that captured the essence of who he is as a human, because I always refer to him as my heart chakra on legs.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because his mission in life is to make sure that everybody he comes in contact with has the experience of being loved. And so that is the personality I infused my hero with. The words of wisdom that come out of the hero is really a combination of every teacher, book, workshop I've ever done that helped me, so whatever I learned, I infused coming out of this man's mouth so he could help Holly heal. And ultimately the fun part of the book is that Deepak gets as healed as Holly does. As he hears what he's teaching her, it's a reminder to him to heal himself. Because, as human beings, we all go through the same things, right? We're all, at the end of the day, insecure. We all just want to be loved for exactly who we are. We are looking for our person, the person with whom we feel most safe, that will take a bullet for us, that is our safe place to land on our difficult days. So it was, really allowing to see the full scope of who we are as humans and how important it is to be loved and cared for.
Yeah, I love that. And so for people who purchase and read the book, how would you recommend that they, how they do that? Like, should they come at it with an open mind to be able to learn something, or you really did this as a form of beautiful, amazing entertainment?
It is just entertainment. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't really, until I finished the book, and I had to read it a million times as I was line editing it, I didn't even realize the lessons that were there, because for me it was so character driven. So I would say just read it as a great summer beach read, a real page turner. And if you enjoyed Eat, Pray, Love, and you like travel, and you're interested in mystical woo-woo stuff, and you enjoy funny, snarky women and a great love story, then just have fun with it. And, I wouldn't have anything, I wouldn't say, well, this is like a how-to book, because it really isn't.
Right.
Are there lessons in there? Yes. But let it sort of slide through the back door as opposed to looking for it.
Yeah. No, I agree. There's layers to it. You can read it and it's fun and it's an adventure, and like you go through a whole range of emotions when you read this book, because it is like a full journey. And you also can garner some insights there as well. And especially if you're looking for love right now, or you're in that place where you're wondering, where is this guy? What's happening? You can, kind of garner some life lessons there too. Well, darling, thank you so much for chatting with me today, and congratulations. I know how long you've been working on the book, and it's so happy that you've birthed this amazing novel out into the world. So if you're listening to the podcast, make sure you go to thelovethief.com, so that you can also get that free Healing the Heart yoga video series as well as the book. And yeah, congratulations, darling.
Thank you, and thank you so much for all your feedback and comments. It was, not only was it helpful, it just helped. It gave me inspiration and energy to continue. Because I've discovered, like, in one part of my life, I am the most confident, secure person I know. But when it comes to writing fiction, I turned into this very insecure, needy person who just was like, oh, what am I doing? Who do I think I am to be writing fiction? And because at the end of the day, what I discovered was, there's nonfiction and there's fiction. And the only crossover between the two is that they both use words. But other than that, they're totally different animals.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, darling. Well, thank you
Okay.
so much for chatting today. And yeah, we'll chat again soon.
Okay. Bye.